it that got you hooked on it?
I think for me, because I used to be a journalist, I was used to putting all this effort into stories that I would write down and then send out into the world, and then I never had any idea if they made any sort of impact or anything. They just kind of went out into the ether.
Right.
But with storytelling, when I'm standing there live in front of people, I can get immediate feedback. It's just like a direct circuit of I can see people reacting in real time to the things that I'm saying.
And with the 10 years of experience that you have in storytelling, what do you find is most challenging in it now for you?
So I spent a very long time trying to get good at storytelling, which basically just involved going to a lot of storytelling shows, figuring out which stories I enjoyed and why, which ones I didn't and why. But now at this point, I'm trying to figure out how I can experiment with that more and do something different. I am from the American Midwest. This means that I am painfully non-confrontational. If my friends ask where I want to go out to eat, my deep cultural auto instinct is, wherever you want. I don't know why, it's just ingrained. Well, my background came into play a few years ago when I decided that I was going to travel alone in Vietnam. And I had no qualms about it because, one, Vietnam is a far safer place than the US. Sorry. And two, I'd read that Vietnamese culture is exceedingly polite. So I was like, yes, I'm with my people. Well, about a week into my trip in Vietnam, I'm at the Dong Hoi station boarding a train. And it's just a metal boxcar, wooden benches. The windows are the colors of like old Scotch tape with chicken wire over them. And my fellow passengers have brought everything but the chickens, like heavy sacks of rice, these huge styrofoam packing containers, all these tantalizing clues to lives that I can't know the first thing about because I don't speak the language. I find my seat on a bench beside this tiny old man sitting by the window. I smile, he smiles, and we're off. Chug, 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 chug. I take out my notebook to do some writing. And before long, I notice down the aisle that there is a man in a bowl haircut, mustache, and shark tooth necklace. He's staggering from like bench to bench, pointing at people, demanding their attention in this voice that it just sounds like he eats cigarettes for breakfast. And everyone's kind of smiling as he's slurring his words and his steps. This guy is a stock character, worldwide, drunk man on public transit. Perhaps you've met him. But, I know what to do. If you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. Well, Shark Tooth gets to my bench, and he does an exaggerated double take. I am the only Westerner on the train. He leans over and says something in my face. I give a perfunctory nod and return to my writing. But my notebook jostles away from my pen, and to my shock, he's shaking it. I pull it back, I just flash a warning with my face and look straight ahead. But I can feel his presence next to me in the aisle. Then I feel his fingers in my hair by my neck. Stop. He laughs and laughs. I'm looking around the train, it's packed. There's nowhere else that I can go. And it's starting to sink in that this man is not going to leave me alone. I can't even tell him to stop in a language that he knows. And anyone who could is studiously looking out their respective windows. Sharktooth nudges the person across from me to get him to scoot down, which the man does. Now Sharktooth is sitting directly across from me, saying things at me. I don't respond. And the men around us laugh nervously. Sharktooth shouts louder! I look down into my lap. When I do, into my field of view comes his finger, picking at a Band-Aid on my knee. Before I can react, there's this flurry of footsteps up the aisle, and out of nowhere, now here is standing a chubby teenage boy. The boy gets Sharktooth to scoot over, and now the boy is sitting across from me. Hello, I speak English. I talk to you. I've never seen this kid before in my life. I'm like, hello, yes, thank you. Will you stay with me? He's like, oh, yes, I am so sorry for this man. His mind is not good. I'm like, I agree. And the boy tells me his name is Huang. I say, my name's Katie. We shake hands. And right away, he's like, oh, I am so sorry. My hands are wet. I am nervous. My English is not so good. I'm like, no, Huang, you're my hero. Huang doesn't look so sure. Meanwhile, Sharktooth keeps smacking Huang, trying to get him to translate something so crude that poor Huang just crinkles up his nose like, oh, you are so silly. So to shake the man, Huang and I act super engrossed in our conversation, which is tough because I don't speak Vietnamese and Huang has limited English. But Huang and I just sweat it out like we are in the 3-hour version of the $10,000 pyramid show. Me guessing what he's saying, him guessing what I'm saying. But through the process, I learn that Huang is 18. This is his first time on a train, his first time away from home. He is moving to Saigon to look for a job and to audition for Vietnam Idol. I'm like, what? You sing? And he's like, oh, yes. And to help fill the time, because Sharktooth has wandered off, but he keeps circling back, Huang starts to sing. I don't know what I expected, but it's not what comes out of his mouth. This gorgeous falsetto in a minor key. He is singing a traditional Vietnamese song called Beo Zat Mai Choi. When he does, the little old man next to me comes to life. He's like enwrapped, mouthing along the words. And then the old man reaches into his bag, pulls out a bamboo flute. The man is playing, Huang is singing, and my vocal cords are in a twist because I came so close to crying a moment ago. Like in just mere hours, my most distressing day in Vietnam turned into my most beautiful because of Huang. Now, if this had been an American action movie, maybe Huang the hero would have come in and been like, leave that woman alone, and maybe punched out the bad guy. And in a world full of bullies, sometimes I wish that I were more like that kind of person. But really, all it takes to make a difference is to be the one person unwilling to look away. Thank you.
I'm born and raised in the Republic of Panama of Caribbean grandparents from